My name is Alex, and for years, I lived inside a bubble of silence. It wasn't that I didn't speak. I did. I knew English grammar. I had a good vocabulary. But whenever I opened my mouth, I felt a hot wave of shame. My accent felt like a thick, heavy coat I couldn't take off. It marked me as an outsider. It wrapped my thoughts in a fog that, I believed, made me sound slow, uneducated, and clumsy. It started in university. I had moved to a new country full of hope. In my first lecture, the professor asked a question. I knew the answer. I raised my hand. When I spoke, my words came out tangled in the rhythms and sounds of my mother tongue. The professor squinted. "I'm sorry," he said, leaning forward. "Could you repeat that?" A few students in the back snickered. I repeated myself, my voice smaller now. He nodded, finally understanding, but the moment was gone. The brilliant point I wanted to make was lost, buried under the effort of just being understood. I stopped raising my hand after that. This became my life. At coffee shops, I would point at the menu instead of saying the name of the drink. I avoided phone calls like they were fire. I would rehearse a simple sentence like, "Can we meet on Tuesday?" 50 times in my head, only to have the cashier at the bank say, "Pardon?" the moment I said it. Every interaction was a potential battlefield, and my accent was the enemy within me. I felt like a ghost, present, intelligent, full of ideas, but completely voiceless. People would talk slowly to me, using simple words, as if my accent meant my mind was also simple. The frustration was a constant, aching knot in my chest. The breaking point came at a work party. I was telling a story to a small group of colleagues. It was a funny story from my childhood. In my head, it was hilarious. As I told it, I saw their faces not smiling, but strained with concentration. One man kept tilting his head, like a confused puppy. When I finished, there was a pause. Then a polite flat. Then a polite flat, "Oh, that's interesting." They quickly changed the subject. I stood there, smiling a hollow smile, feeling utterly invisible. I went home that night and looked in the mirror. Is this it? I asked my reflection. Will I spend my whole life trapped behind this sound? I decided that day that I would not. I wasn't trying to erase where I came from. I was trying to build a bridge. I wanted my outside to match my inside. I wanted my voice to carry my thoughts clearly, without distortion. My journey wasn't about losing my identity, it was about gaining a tool for connection. And so, I began. My first step was one of the hardest. I had to learn to listen. Really listen. I had to break down the wall in my mind that instantly translated English into my native language. I started with something simple: children's television shows. They spoke clearly, slowly, and with exaggerated emotion. I would watch, and instead of following the story, I would close my eyes. I focused only on the music of the language, the rise and fall of a question, the soft, connected flow of a sentence, the sharp, crisp sound of a T at the end of a word. I mimicked it like a parrot, alone in my room, saying silly lines from cartoons. It felt foolish, but my ears were starting to wake up to a new rhythm. Then, I found my secret weapon, the shadowing technique. I would find a short clip of a speaker I admired, a news presenter with a calm, clear voice. I would listen to one sentence. Then I would pause and try to be their echo. I wasn't just repeating the words, I was trying to copy the exact melody, the pause, the lift of their voice. At first, I sounded terrible. My accent would clash violently with theirs. But I kept going. Sentence by sentence, I was training my mouth muscles to move in new, unfamiliar ways. I was learning that the TH sound wasn't a D or a T, but a gentle bite of the tongue. I learned that the American R required a curl my tongue had never attempted before. It was physical training, like learning a dance for your lips and tongue. But the real challenge was my own fear. The shadowing was safe, private. I knew I had to take it into the world. So, I started small. I began reading everything out loud. I read the newspaper, my work emails, even the instructions on a cereal box. I recorded myself. Hearing my own voice was cringeworthy at first, a brutal, necessary medicine. I would listen, cringing at the flat A where there should be a round one, the missing H sounds. But slowly, week by week, I heard the changes. The sentences began to flow more smoothly. The strange music was starting to feel a little more familiar in my own mouth. Then came the leap. I joined a conversation group for English learners. The first session, my heart was pounding. When it was my turn to speak, my old accent came rushing back, thick and defensive. But something was different this time. No one squinted. No one laughed. They were all on the same journey. We were all echoes trying to find our own sound. We practiced tongue twisters together, laughing at our tangled words. "She sells seashells by the seashore" became our shared battle cry. For the first time, my accent wasn't a mark of shame, it was a shared challenge. This community gave me the courage to make mistakes, which I now know is the only way to learn anything. The final piece of the puzzle was changing my mindset. I had to stop seeing my accent as a problem to be solved and start seeing it as a work in progress. I stopped apologizing before I spoke. I stopped saying, "Sorry for my accent." I slowed down. I discovered that speaking slowly and clearly with an accent is infinitely better than speaking quickly and mumbled with an accent. I focused on clarity, not perfection. I also learned to listen for the beauty in all accents. I met people from Italy, from Korea, from France, all speaking English with their own musical history woven into the words. Their accents weren't bad, they were just different. They told a story of another home, another life. This helped me make peace with my own story and my voice. The change didn't happen overnight. It took months of consistent, daily practice. But one day, about a year into my journey, I was in a meeting at work. I was leading the discussion. I spoke for 5 minutes, explaining a complex idea. At the end, my manager said, "Thanks, Alex, that was perfectly clear." And for the first time, no one asked me to repeat myself. No looks of confusion. The ideas had traveled, clean and sharp, from my mind to theirs. The bridge was holding. I still have an accent. I probably always will. But it's lighter now. It's no longer a heavy coat that hides me. It's more like a slight, unique color in my voice. It's the soft trace of my first language, the evidence of a journey taken. I don't want to sound like I was born in London or New York. I want to sound like Alex, who speaks English clearly and confidently. If you are on this journey, know this. Your accent is not your enemy. Your fear is. Start by listening. Mimic like a child. Embrace the silly, awkward practice. Find your community. Be patient with yourself. You are not erasing your past. You are building a new tool for your future. The goal is not a perfect accent. The goal is a clear voice. A voice that can carry your jokes, your ideas, your stories, and your heart across any room in the world. That voice is already inside you. You just have to help it find its way out.